You know, a lot of these reports uh, that have been made over the years by alien abductees is that their captors were able to basically communicate through telepathy. It's amazing the whole concept of mental telepathy. I mean, are are we going to be that? Are we going to evolve into that some point at some point where we don't have to talk this way? You know, using our mouths and making sound, using words. Where instead we'll be able to communicate with each other through mental telepathy. Just throw a thought out. I mean, I can't. It's hard to imagine, isn't it? Now, these extraterrestrial beings apparently that's how they communicate. They do so through mental telepathy apparently, and I'm assuming I guess it's safe to assume that that's how they communicate with each other. You know, it's hard to believe, but I mean when, like for instance, in these instances where people get abducted, they basically sense communication entering their brain, like forced, something that's like through the eyes of these beings, like they're able to look at them and convey messages somehow. And it is that where we're heading? Are we heading? Are we gonna be like them at some point? 100,000 years from now, 10,000, 50,000 years from now. Who knows how long it will take to get to that point? If we ever do get to that point, I just don't know. I do know that there is some sort of connection between all of us. There's a collective unconscious. There's just thing. There's so many instances throughout my life, and I'm sure a lot of you out there had these same experiences where you're thinking of something, and then the next day, or a few minutes later, you're thinking of a person, and a few minutes later, you get a phone call from that person. It's almost like it's like a form of telepathy, almost. And I just wonder if we have this power, we just don't we just don't we don't have a grasp of it yet. We don't know how to control it, or how to actually use it, or maybe we're just not mentally strong enough at this point of our evolution to use it on a regular basis. At some point, I mean, if you would think that it's going to be possible. Does it, or do these aliens? Is there some other aspect that's required to make this possible for them? Is there some sort of an implant in their brains that they all receive that allows for this kind of communication? Or was it something that they evolved into? Or were they always like this? Were they always able to? I don't think so. If they evolved similarly to the way we're evolving, you would think that they communicated with each other at some point during their during their existence, that the same way we communicate now. At one point in our of humankind, we didn't have speech, we didn't have any words, we didn't have languages. We just had, we just communicated with grunts. You know, back in the caveman days. It took time to develop languages and speech and you know sentences, and be able to communicate intelligently. So is that where we're heading? Are we heading toward a direction where at some point we will be communicating exclusively through mental telepathy? And just like we lose our wisdom teeth, like at one point in our everyone had four wisdom teeth. Now as we evolve, some people are born without them. I was born with just three of them. Now, of course, all three of them had to be pulled because they all got infected and pushing my other teeth together. I didn't need them. We don't need them anymore. At some point in our existence, way back when, we did need them, but now we don't, because we don't eat that kind of food on a regular basis anymore. So, are we evolving where we're all going to communicate exclusively through telepathy? I think we are. I think at some point we will not be speaking with our mouths. That's not how it will be done. Now, it sounds insane. It sounds like, how's that possible? Well, I mean, right now, like we make videos and we talk on phones. At some point, like how would that work? Like how does that work? Like if you're a far distance from, if at some point we evolve into a where we communicate exclusively using telepathy, how does like long distance communication work? How do you watch television programs? Is there any television? Is there something that what replaces that at some point? And images on the screen, you just at some point if you wanted to watch something, you see two beings, two humans standing there, just you could read their minds through the video. How's that going to work? I don't know. It's an interesting thought, but I think at some point that's where we're heading. Whether it's going to be a natural progression or some sort of an implant way into the future. Now, I wouldn't, of course, I wouldn't want to do that right now. I don't think any of us would want to get some kind of an implant in our brain so we can communicate telepathically. But it's an interesting concept to think that at some point, we could be like aliens. We could evolve to the point where we're able to communicate exclusively, just staring. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna think of something right now. Let's see if I'll try it right here. We'll try. We're gonna try it right now. I'm gonna throw it. Now, if you're listening to the podcast, it'll be a moment of silence to see if I'm gonna think of one word, and I'll see if you can guess. See if you can guess the word. I'm gonna try to use telepathy through this medium. Okay, if you're watching this on YouTube, let's see if you can figure out what I'm thinking. I'll give you 10 seconds. Time's up. The word I was thinking of, saucer. Did anybody get it? Probably not. That's because we're not there yet. But we're going to be. I think we're going to be. I mean, if they're there, then we're going to be there. That's going to be part of this evolution. We're going to be able to communicate somehow, some way, mentally, completely mentally. There'll be no more using your mouth for, we'll just be, the conversations will be, pretty boring. I wonder how to, like I say, you had a group of people in a room where you're all communicating telepathically. I wonder how that would work. Sometimes it'll sound like a lot of noise in your head, actually, probably be pretty confusing. But I guess, you'll figure it out. It'll work out when we get there. Totally crazy thought, but, hey, it's just another aspect of this phenomenon that we need to explore. We need to talk about it, I'm probably completely way off base here, with some of these things, but maybe I'm on base with some of them. I don't know. But yeah, mental telepathy, that's in our future, just like them.